Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you, because I am the hero the Sports Jedi deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Long live Lexus King.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Heel of the Ring podcast here. We have a special NXT review of May 28th, a big card that happened on NXT this Tuesday. I'm here to review it. Let's go. Of course, for everyone, welcome to the Sports Jedi Network. We do all the different WWE watch-alongs, NXT watch-alongs, and all the different sports on the Sports Jedi Network. Now, we are a NXT review program with actual participants that go to the performance centers on Tuesday night. You see myself from time to time go. I'm a casual, but then we have our diehard from Mr. Terrence. He goes every Tuesday, each and every Tuesday, and I go to a lot of the NXT live house shows in the Orlando area. So this is a program from real NXT fans that actually goes to the product and enjoys the product. So we're going to break this down. This is my review here. A lot happened because we had the announcement that hip-hop recording star or up-and-comer female star Sexyy Red was invited to the NXT brand, and she made her appearance. We start the show off with Ava coming out, and Ava... By the way, I want to give Ava her flowers before I even get going on how the program starts with her improvement week after week and it feels like she found her comfort zone as a character, as that general manager role or the authority figure for Shawn Michaels NXT. We saw when she came up with Schism, wasn't too sure. Also, she had a little bit of setback of some injuries, and she didn't kind of fit the Schism model. She didn't know if she was going to be a leader. I think all of us thought she was going to have that Rhea Ripley effect, like Judgment Day, become like the leader of Schism. But the best decision is having her right now as an authority figure. It's not a bad thing for Ava. She looks comfortable getting in front of a microphone, talking in front of everyone, talking in front of the PC crowd, and she has something to unveil. Of course, Sexyy Red comes out to the delight of the crowd of the Performance Center. I'm pretty sure every one of our friends in the Performance Center must have enjoyed Sexyy Red come out. Of course, one of her famous things she does is sing and twerk, and she did that right there on there. It might not be certain cups of coffee for some other people. Some people might like it, some people don't. But hey, it's WWE. It's a developmental. It's supposed to be a developmental with the younger stars of the future, and this artist is, you could say, up and comer. Who hasn't really made fully mainstream, but she's well known in her genre of music, and she's come together in NXT. I kind of like it. I like that she has something to unveil. She unveiled the physical North American Women's Champion, which the tournament, we're gonna have 2 qualifying matches that night. That same night as we're going to review them, and all the leading up to the premium live event on Battlegrounds on the 9th of June. And right off the bat, you see Taylor Paxley slithering her way in and trying to grab the title away from Sexyy Red. A little back and forth with the title there. Although I was a little worried myself. I didn't know if Sexyy Red was gonna get physical, have some physicality. After she just recently had a baby a few months ago, so I'm like, I hope not. Although she was teasing that she wanted to come to NXT and give someone an RKO, and I was like, calm down. We don't need to get physical yet. It's nice to see you there. Hang in there. If you're not, hopefully you're healthy enough to take a bump, but it was a fun segment there. And then, of course, it leads into Meechin coming from the back. And then we jump into the first qualifying match of the NXT North American tournament or qualifying match. A back and forth match at times. I like seeing what Tatum Paxley's doing week after week. For me watching her from Level Up in person over the 2.0 era, seeing Tatum there, saw her a little bit with Diamond Mine, a little timid into this dark character, and the great program, the rub that she got working with a Lyra Valkyria, and seeing Tatum Paxley now kind of on her own and her own program and her own mystique weird way, but getting better in the ring. I thought she put some great match with Meacham. Although one thing I'm gonna have a little bit of critique with Meacham is I expect the Meacham that I saw in 2022. I don't know if it's injuries or timid or the lack of trust of the booker, the agent with Meacham. And I'm talking about her role back as she came back to the WWE from TNA Impact, and I wanted it because I always tell everyone as a reference, if you want to see one of Mia Yim's one of the best matches or in a big match, and I'm excited for her in a moment. Go back to Slammiversary in 2022, the Queen of the Ring Mountain. I mean, that was a ladder match there. Mickey James was on it, Diana Perrazzo, Chelsea Green, I believe Tasha Steele. And forgive me if I'm forgetting any of the ladies that were participating in that. But that match to me, and I always reference it a lot because they really bought the house there. And I saw Meacham do some moves that I kind of want to see. I haven't seen her attempt it or translate into the WWE world and her return back to the WWE. I know she could go. So for her seeing this match and she get the victory. It was I actually thought Tatum Paxley out-wrestled. Meacham looked more stronger. I was a little disappointed, but she got the finish, she got the win, but I understand why Meacham is going on to this title. Putting her into this ladder match makes sense. There's a storyline behind it. I'll give it to you. Everyone knows her kayfabe, her husband is Keith Lee. Keith Lee, when he was in NXT, was a very well-renowned NXT North American champion. WWE, like now, with this new WWE with Paul Levesque and Shawn Michaels, with the lack of no longer with Vince McMahon's influence, they're allowed to speak about other companies or talk about their past more and bring it up to the modern times, or as we watch a presentation of any of the wrestling programs or any WWE program. They could mention that's the husband of former NXT North American champion Keith Lee. Wouldn't be something to have a husband and wife win this prestigious title. That's a storyline. Remember, WWE is about wrestling, but it has a storyline and a purpose behind the majority of what we see week after week, even especially in the Paul Levesque era. Everything has a purpose, has a meaning, as we figure out, as we see week to week. If you haven't seen that and you're just too busy crapping or just being negative about the product, then then WWE or NXT isn't for you. Maybe, and there's a company that could really use your ratings that are struggling week after week on Wednesdays that could really use the viewership. And they'll give you spot matches. They'll give you dream matches week after week with no storyline. And maybe that's your cup of coffee. And to me, I like the storyline. I like the episodic must listen, must see, everything matters wrestling program because hey, 2 hours, that's a lot of our free time to invest in it. And I want to be entertained, not just with Spotfest, with something that's going to give me a cliffhanger to watch next week. And that's what NXT is doing, especially if they go that route with Meacham and that storyline behind it. And of course, before and while that match was happening, we had Jada Parker come out and scout things out. She sat down on ringside, had a commentary, had a back and forth. Jada, a favorite to win this North American title as well. I mean, she has all the mannerisms of a star. Her heel persona, she has the look. She getting better ring in, ring out with her ring ability, and she could cut a promo already. She's wicked, quick on the microphone, at least in my opinion. Maybe folks want to disagree or agree. That's the fun part about this. I think Jada has that it factor. She has the great coaches there that's going to help her season her, get better. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the first inaugural North American woman champion for Jada Parker. But she was at ringside. Of course, we see Meacham win. We move on. We had a couple of backstage where we saw Lexi King, my guy, having a conversation, or we saw Dante Chen getting congratulated by the locker room in the back, getting his first victory on TV. Then Lexi King comes out, and again, Everything matters. The attentions to detail. But while they're having their spat back and forth about you got a lucky win, I didn't get a lucky win. I beat you. Look in the background. You see Bronco, you see Lucius Prince, and you see Sean Spears having a deep conversation, like a recruiting conversation. What is Sean Spears up to? We saw him getting in the ear of Rich Holland a little bit in a couple episodes of NXT prior. There's something slithering with Sean Spears. Keep an eye on those attention to details. Again, everything that's happening in WWE has a purpose, and there's something about it that they're always going to revisit to, and there's reference points to it. Then this backstage leads to a match later in the evening. It's going to be for Dante Chen. He says, you know what? I wasn't lucky. He goes, you were lucky. I could beat you. Let's go. Let's go right now. Lexi King kind of, okay, let's go. They accept the challenge, so they're gonna take on a match later in that evening. I'm gonna give you another man. And by the way, let's talk about that match. You know what? I'm not gonna have the chronological order of the matches, but I'm gonna talk about them as it comes into my off memory here. When Dante taking on Lexi King, like, oh, here's WWE not pushing a Lexi King. Oh, what are they doing? They're booking, yada yada. Again, it's about storytelling, and purpose. Shawn Michaels and his creative team in NXT, it might not be everyone's cup of coffee, and you might not like the direction that they're going with that, ladies and gentlemen, or it might not please to you, but there's a story that they're trying to build, and these performers are trying to not play out, but fulfill or execute their story plan that is given by their coaches. Remember, they gotta learn. They're learning on the fly as well. My thinking with Lexi King, Dante Chen has a match with him. Dante Chen gets another victory, a sneaky victory on Lexi King, and Lexi King. And you gotta and listen, when we're at the Performance Center, we get to see things up close and personal. The matches, the styles, when they're gonna wrap it up, or the crowd involvement, being there. When I go, I like to watch the show as well at home on my DVR, because commentary gives some nuggets, some details to enhance the viewing, and that's why you gotta pay attention when Vic Joseph says Lexi King is becoming unhinged, lunatic, and they're referring to his father, Brian Pillman. Remember, at the end of the day, Lexi King is still Brian Pillman Jr. They're trying to tease that he's going to be unbuckled, unhinged, that heel persona, like wild factor on Lexi King. And then he's just, that's going to, when they get ready to give him that major push, he's going to be unhinged. He's going to, who could stop Lexi King? And that could probably get a North American title run later in the year, with him becoming gathering that momentum as that heel. Remember, not everything in wrestling is always peaches and cream when you got your baby faces always on top and waving pom-poms, because one thing about the Performance Center, and I've been attest to it, when the Goody Two-Shoes continue winning like Braun Breaker, the crowd would turn on them, on Braun. And I think NXT is conscious of that, and sometimes the chase in the baby face is greater than the heel on top brings more vibe to that crowd. And that's just my opinion. We move on with that. We get to see something that's been brewing for a while now. Rich Holland and Evan Bourne. Rally Bourne, excuse me. I don't know why I always call him Evan, but Rally Bourne. Not a big fan of this feud. I don't get it. Rich is trying to get reform. Andre Chase is trying to help him. That's the storyline. There. That Andre Chase is trying to reform Holland because he thinks he's a dangerous man, a weapon, or, playing a little bit to a kayfabe as an unsafe worker, trying to find peace. And Osborne doesn't believe it. Thinks it's a shill, it's a show, it's a fake. He's just, he's a heel. The same thing when we thought about, and we seen it. It's kind of a little bit of a story that's being rinsed and repeated a little bit with Andre, with the Chase University, when we had Duke Hudson. Remember when Duke Hudson, he was that poker gambler, and we were waiting for the heel turn on Duke Hudson And presently so, I'm not a big fan of Chase U, but I get their storyline. I get what they're telling, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised that Duke Hudson and Andre Chase are still this far along. About a year, a little over a year together, and it kind of works. The crowd loves it. Duke has bought into this whole gimmick change with the U and all that, and I think there's a place for people to like Chase University. And again, it's not my cup of coffee, but I understand what they're doing. Thea Hale wants to trust Riggs, wants to try Holland, and she likes Osborne, and that back and forth, and we'll see where that goes on later on with that. There's storytelling. It leaves for more storytelling in that saga for more television. Again, it might not be your cup of coffee, but they're still leaving that open. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's that story going. Let's see what the payoff is. That's my point. We'll move on to the next where we get a tag team. Now, this is a funny one because we see a backstage promo from Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They've been calling out the tag team champions, the tag team champion Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and it seems like they've been avoiding. So, the OCs are saying that they're pretty much want to be the hunters looking for the prey. So they're like, you guys are avoiding us. But before that, there's a match between Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. Their story behind this, Malik Blade and Idris Enofe, they haven't won a lot of matches. So they were a little down on their luck. Here comes this bright new young lady into their lives, Brittany Reese. And Brittany Reese believes in the power of positivity. And she's so up cheering, chipper, like, to the point of being a little too naive. And Brittany Reese herself has been on a losing streak. She hasn't won much matches. Things are not going right. And Malik is all bought into the power of positivity. And Enofe believes in superstition. We saw the Black Cat a couple of weeks before. And Brittany's not good luck. Ever since she's been here, we've been losing even worse. And instead of taking a step forward as a tag team, we keep becoming like jobbers. We losing. So that's the storyline in this match. One wants to be a number one contender and send a message to the tag team champions: stop avoiding us and ducking us, because we're knocking out the competition. And meanwhile, the competition they're looking to change their luck, their fortunes. And of course, Brittany Reese is out there with them. There's a spot on the mat where Nofe gets knocked out by Luke, and he falls and he knocks Brittany Reese down, and on a spot where she's hurt. And you see Enofe loses his attention, calling for the referees, officials, or medical to attend to. Of course, she's part of their group. That's where Gallows takes advantage. They hit a finisher. They get the victory. They move on. It's not a tournament. They just win that match. They get the victory on Enofe and Malik Blade. Their bad luck continues. That's just one of the storylines that comes out of this. Then, as we see them celebrating, the tag team champions from becoming hunted become the hunters. They attack the challengers. Boom, sets up a match for Battlegrounds for the tag team titles between Axiom and Nathan Frazier taking on Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. That's the story on that there. The match has served its purpose. Again, all these matches are telling stories and leaving cliffhangers or a little bit of nuggets for you to want to watch NXT the following week, which I appreciate. It might not be the spot fest where you're going to see 450 hit Phoenix Splash. You're not going to see, you're not going to have the super kick parties. You're not going to have anarchy in the toilet. You're going to have a match where it's telling a story, setting up for the following week. That's where we go on here. Then we have Roxanne Perez, your women's champion, in the middle of the ring. She doesn't know who her opponent is. She's standing there. I love that she's cutting that promo about her, that how much when she was 13 years old, she went out to become a champion, to be the best of whatever company she was going to work in, especially when she made it to NXT, how she cherished and appreciates that NXT Women's Champion, not like other former champions, that they use it as a stepping stone to go on to bigger and better things, or use it as a leverage to go to something else. I guess he took shots at Asuka because she dropped the title, never lost it. My point is, she's saying she's the best woman champion in wrestling. So out comes the general manager, Eva. Phenomenal job again, introducing, to letting us know who is her next opponent. We hear the sirens. None other than NXT Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace. We saw Jordynne Grace in the Royal Rumble. That is going to be her next opponent for Battlegrounds Sunday. The whole wrestling world has gone on a huge impact of a wow factor, because I don't think, and WWE did a phenomenal job of concealing it. No dirt sheets, nobody had that spoiler of Jordynne Grace being that opponent. We thought about Tegan Knox. They threw a little bit nuggets of maybe Tegan Knox, maybe Camille signed with the WWE and not with and with AEW. We know that in June, Money in the Bank for Heat Wave is supposed to be Julia, but Julia got injured. I don't know if she's going to be healthy enough to take on the champion at that time. Nevertheless, that was a wonderful, pleasant surprise. Jordynne Grace introduces herself in a spot where I love, where Booker T came out the sucky quack quack at the moment when she said, "I'm Jordynne Grace, the Knockouts champion." That was great. Now they're going to face off. That's going to be set up wonderful there. Is there a forbidden door opening? Like everyone likes to say that. It looks, and we've seen that from the weekend of WrestleMania, that when GCW had Shayna Baszler had that one-on-one bout with Marsha Slamovich. So this is a working relationship that goes back as far as Royal Rumble, where the Paul Levesque era, at least in charge, is willing to work with other companies, All Japan Wrestling, because we saw Charlie Dempsey from for NXT participate in their tournament in All Japan Wrestling this year, and the year prior to that, with Pro Wrestling Noah, seeing Nakamura taking on the Great Muta in one of his matches. So the WWE is open now. A partnership with Marigold. With Julia is going to come now to NXT, and Io Sky is rumored to go to Marigold to have a program out there, along with Carrie Singh, even Natalia. Although reports are saying that her contract has come to an end, or it's about to be done, and no renewal yet with the WWE, where she's maybe possibly a free agent. Natalia is scheduled to fight or wrestle Jordynne Grace at Slammiversary in Montreal. Now, I don't know if she's going to be as a TNA product or TNA exclusive wrestler, when WWE is going to allow her to go, and as part of the exchange for the working relationship, whatever the case is. Who knows? Let's just wait and see what happens. We all know, everybody's speculating about Becky Lynch, Rebecca Quinn. She's a free agent. She's going to take a minor time off. Look, her husband is recovering from surgery. They've got a young daughter. This is the first time that Seth doesn't have to work because of injury. She's a free agent. She doesn't want, the summertime. They talked about, going out and traveling the country, different zoos. I know that her daughter likes to go to different zoos when they and do these things and all that stuff. Take some time off. Take 3 months. Come right back into the WWE and have that contract there. Look, everyone says, well, Edge said the same thing and he ended up with All Elite. Couple of weeks later. With Becky Lynch, she's just probably tired. She's just a mother, 37-year-old mom, author, book writer, the book tour, plus wrestling all across the world. She was in, all different parts. WWE's traveling all over globally. It wears down. Wears down at a 37. Maybe she, take some time and regroup to charge the batteries. And if she's also playing All Elite Wrestling, what can we do? Okay, now they open up another spot in the top of the women's division. On the top, I always say the women's division is top heavy in the WWE. Well, you just take one out, and the machine will produce another top heavy woman. Tiffany Stratton is ready to chomp on the bit. It's okay. Whatever for Becky Lynch, we're waiting with open arms. Whatever she does, she given a lot, and we'll just enjoy what happens to her next. So we'll move on here. And with that said, and I like the fact that we see the challenger for Roxanne and Jordynne Grace. Later that night, we see Stevie Turner in the general manager's office. Stevie Turner, a female wrestler from NXT UK, Her gimmick hasn't really hit too much. She was supposed to be a podcaster who will podcast, talk about NXT a little bit, and be a wrestler, but that didn't fit so well. They try to do little vignettes and stuff, and she's been wrestling house shows a lot. She's been kept active for Stevie Turner. Not a lot of TV time on the NXT brand. A little level up here and there, But for her, she was demanding a title, and she made good points. Why does Jordynne Grace gets a world title shot? She hasn't done really nothing in this company, yada yada. So Ava walks in Ms. Grace and introduces herself, and they say, you know what? You'll have a match next week, and Jordynne Grace's first match at NXT will be against Stevie Turner. Everyone's saying, what kind of match should it be? Should it be a squash? Should it be this, that? Whatever it is, it's going to be phenomenal. That's all I could say. I'm going to enjoy it. We'll move on here where we have a match. I believe it's the next match will be for the another women's qualifier. Again, it is Kalani. Now, Kalani Jordynne, it's another woman who's favorite, and she's gonna take on. I forgot her name. Oh, no, I got her name here. Ren Sinclair, because I know her by Maddie. So from the Indies, they repackage her again. They repackage her name, and Ren Sinclair taking on Kalani Jordynne. Now, for Ren Sinclair, I know her from Maddie from the Indies. Her NXT run, she now changed her outfit, her look. She gives herself high five. She's another one of positivity. Down the line, if they reintroduce women's tag team titles back for NXT, that's another person you could team up with Brittany Reese, and they could be a tag team. Personally, for now, she's not taking a lot of wins. She's taking a lot of pins. I'm actually surprised that Ren actually qualified when they were they actually needed someone to take a pin here, and that's what Kalani Jordynne did. Kalani Jordynne did, that split-legged moonsault to get the victory, but you had Fallon Henley on ringside. Fallon Henley is turning heel, and I like this heel run from Fallon Henley. She's more aggressive, and there's an ounce of that killer instinct with Fallon Henley that I really like. Kalani Jordynne is the uber babyface. I don't think she wins this NXT Women's title, North American title yet. But there's going to be gold in that future for that young lady. But right now, I don't think it's the time. A lot of folks like Ruka. I think this NXT North American title is going to be a heel. I think a heel wins this title for the first time. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with that. Now we get to a match here with Lola Vice taking on Adriana Grace. It all starts in the back where you see Lola Vice warming up. Adriana Grace, she wants to place her comic or comedic, and there's always room for a little comedy. And Lola wasn't having it. So Lola's like, you know what? We're going to end up to a match, one another. I like the Adriana Grace was by accident becoming offensively against Lola Vice, acting like, oh, we should not have that. We should not work with violence. Lola does a phenomenal job selling some kicks. She wins with a back fist. Now, if you don't know who is Lola Vice, check her out, Valerie Lorena. Valerie Lorena was a Bellator fighter. I believe she has 5 fights. She was undefeated in 5 of those, 5-0 in Bellator. An MMA fighter coming from the world of MMA into. Now, we've seen her in breakout tournament, then couldn't win. She had an underground when Natalia was phenomenal. Had Shayna Baszler in her corner. Shayna Baszler teamed up with her, and Lola turned on her. The storyline is here. Lola is a former MMA fighter, mixed martial artist. So is Shayna Baszler. You saw her fight in Game Changer for Shayna, and she likes, we all know her friends of Ronda Rousey, all that stuff. They're going at Battlegrounds is taking place at the Apex Center in the UFC. You have an underground match. You're catering to both. You're trying to merge both worlds here with the WWE and TKO with UFC merger there. Kind of that's a symbolize. We have that underground in that arena. That's the storyline where you saw Shayna Baszler come out after she called her out. The ladies are like it's like a weigh-in type of deal with in the wrestling kind of world. If you understand, when they do the weigh-in and get into that scrum back and forth and they want to go at it, that's what these ladies are showing. They're spicing up that fight for that underground, and that's what the storyline is here. For Andreana Grace, she was just there to tell that story of Lola Vice and her hands, her MMA background when she gets her hands on Shayna Baszler. That's going to be a battle. Do I see a lady getting busted open? I think so, ladies and gentlemen. Next Sunday, that's going to be a viewer discretion match. I think these ladies there's going to be some punches. There's going to be some hands being loose, because these both ladies come from that world of mixed martial arts and MMA, combat sports. They're gonna throw some punches, realism. Look, that I think one of the matches that doesn't get talked about, because the wrestling world is not closed-minded. Doesn't have the open mind. I think Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler at SummerSlam was a very good match. I'm one of the few minority that says it was, because I cover UFC here with my son and my partner Chef Dan, and we appreciate the MMA world, and we kind of I enjoy that Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and I'm going to enjoy the Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler fight next Sunday. I'm going to look forward to that, because I know there's going to be a hard-hitting. There's going to be some moments hard-hitting. It's not going to be totally that bloodbath war, because I don't believe then they have to get sanctioned by Nevada State Commission. But although we haven't heard that, or maybe in the introduction, if they say that, they're really going to let things go, and they're really going to let some haymakers go. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, so we saw backstage Oro Mensah got into the face of Lash Legend, wondering if Trick Williams was the one that hurt his friend Noam Dar last week. He got mysteriously jumped in the back. Don't know by who. Lash says, no, it's not Trick Williams, hinting that of course, there's a relationship or an interest between one another, between Lash Legend and the world champion, Mr. Trick Williams. And they leave. Then later on, another backstage, we see him hurt. Oro Mensah's hurt now, injured. Makes you wonder what's going on. And Jakara's saying that might be Trick again. I'm going to find out. So they leave that cliffhanger. Then we have a match that was set up last week, because Trick Williams got attacked by Gallus Boys. Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey, they don't know where Wolfgang is right now. They mentioned that earlier. They're going to take on Javon Evans and Trick Williams. That's your main event. Now, Trick Williams and Javon Evans are in the back preparing for the match. Sexyy Red stops by to say hello. Javon Evans asks her to accompany them to the ring, and she says, why not? More Sexyy Red. Sexyy Red accompanies them down, and we have the main event in a pretty good match here. Of course, Javon Evans, a superstar in the making with his move sets, his wrestling ability. I know he's only 19-year-olds, guys. He's only a 19-year-old kid. He's a kid. He just got to get better and tighten up on his promo skills. If he's not a good promo skill guy, you can always get a mouthpiece for him. You can always find a manager. You could breed a manager for him. But the kid has potential to be a mega star. He's already got the crowd in NXT going bananas, going berserk with his move sets. His moves are so clean, so like ooh ah. And yes, could you say, oh, he's a spot fest wrestler? He does ooh and ahs. That's what got him to the dance. Now the WWE is gonna fine tune him, where not everything has to be with that high risk maneuvers. They'll teach him the psychology and the wrestling ability with the promo, and they have a mega star. That's why I'm very high on Javon Evans, in my opinion. Now Trick Williams, this is what he's gonna be, stand and delivered. He's just champion now for 60 days. This is going to be, I believe, his first title defense coming up. What's the complaint? I don't, they're not booking him well. No, there's a storyline. He's in a storyline right now with either a triangle with Lash Legend, love triangle type of deal, where Noam Dar might be jealous. Oro Mensah, his metaphor, there's some dissension is there. Not, Trick Williams' relationship with Lash Legend. There's a story to be told there. So they get the win. You're a world champion. They pin the Gallus Boys. Lash Legend comes out, wants to question him on, and the lights go off. The lights go off, and he gets attacked by none other by a newcomer to the WWE in Nathan All Ego Page. We saw him in All Elite Wrestling. He was an off and on character and on AEW. Wasn't utilized well. You could say that, especially when you have a television, a TBS title. You have a television title there, kind of. You made so many different titles there. Um, Sometimes could it be of his own doing? I don't know. You know, to me, he's a good talker. I always thought he was very well promo wise. He could speak well in All Elite Wrestling. He was a real when he promos were meaningful. There was some substance behind it. I like his microphone skills. Wrestling is good. But I like that now where he's at NXT. They're just gonna fine tune it and they're gonna help him moving him along and probably help along the talent. Maybe maybe they don't see. Maybe that's what he's there for, to help the talent along. Give him a job. Get him some wrestling bumps. See if they could catch lightning in a bottle with him. And if not, he's gonna help the second generation of the NILs that they have and the younger talent learn how to get some bumps with a professional wrestler in there. Learn how to be a ring general against a veteran like a Nathan Page. There's substance and purposes for guys like that in NXT or any wrestling company, and I think I hope Page takes that level takes his wrestling skill to another level where he becomes a main roster call up, where like a Dijak, reinventing for like a Dijak, or or dragging off down sort, and maybe he might be. Remember, he's also a good friend of Cody Rhodes. We saw on Twitter Jake Cargill excited to see him in the NXT in the WWE world. And she tweeted out, people were tweeting out the excitement and happy for Ethan Page in the WWE. They actually what it looks like, he was a likable guy in the locker room, just didn't have a break. Now it's up to him to shine, sink or swim, and that's what and that's the storyline now. Why now on Tuesday? Why has Page come to NXT to attack, and why Trick Williams? Because he's the champ. And I want to know what's the story behind it. Why is he there? What's his mission statement? We'll find that out, and which that cliffhanger for Tuesday. I would like to see NXT start off with him in the ring, the same way we had the chairman, Sean Spears. We found out why. I want to see here what's his mission statement for Nathan. I want to know what's going on. So let's go with that. With that. So that is your review for NXT here. I thought the show had a lot of storyline that gave you cliffhangers for wanting more. Okay, what's next? What's going on now? What we have for Battleground before the go home show? Why did he attack all these people? Did you hurt Wolfgang? Did you hurt Noam Dar? Why did you hurt Noam Dar? Why you have Wolfgang? Why are you attacking all these opponents? Is that because you're taking away all the number one contenders possibly for Trick Williams, and you want to be a number one contender, which smells like that? It looks like he's pushing that route. We'll find out. That's why that's now it makes you want to tune into Tuesday. What happened before the go home show? What's going to happen now with the tag team champions? The tag title is up for grabs. How is there a contract signing with the ladder match with these women? Is there going to be a face off here? Are we going to see what's the outcome between Anofe and Malik with Brittany Reese? Are they going to address that she's bad luck? We're going to see next the Quarter Catch Club. We forgot to mention about that. We're going to have now Charlie Dempsey a little bit unhinged, upset that he lost that cup, the Heritage Cup, and kind of snapped out Damian Kemp. And he says, now you're going to wrestle, Tony D'Angelo is going to get that cup back. And he's even so obsessed that he's actually even trying to use the Tony D'Angelo slang and capiche, put a little scare in that. And they're a little like, what? Charlie's coming unhinged looking after that cup. That cup tends to put people a little psycho, a little nutty. You saw that with Noam Dar. Maybe that's a storyline. Noam Dar went in a deep depression when he didn't have the cup, and so forth. And now you see Charlie Dempsey lost the cup, and he's losing it, a little aggressive to the point of, just losing it. So is there an effect? Is there a curse or an effect on that cup on certain wrestlers? We'll find out after when Tony D'Angelo reign as champion comes to a stop. that's another storyline that I would have forgot about it, and I just remembered real quick with that. That's another storyline. So there's a lot of different storylines being told with us. Will there be more TNA wrestlers? After that, we've seen all over the internet now. If you're a big Twitter warrior and watch all the different things, Drew McIntyre says the door opens both ways. Moose says bring it. So Moose wants a piece of Drew McIntyre, possibly there. Look, there's two premium live events coming up for TNA coming up. Slammiversary, one of their big one, that's in Montreal. It's already Natalya versus Jordynne Grace. They're teasing that. I don't know for what title, if it's going to be for the Knockouts title, because this Battleground is for NXT Women's Champion. Now, Jordynne Grace had an interview earlier today on Busted Open. She mentioned that she's ready to prepare to work. She says she's going to be in TNA and WWE on NXT and NXT Live. That was a little bit of a caveat. If you missed it, give a cheap plug for Busted Open. They don't need my plug. They're one of the best #1 wrestling show on Satellite Radio. But my point is, if she says she's going to be working NXT Live, that's all house shows. Those are Fridays. Those are usually Friday nights, Saturday nights that they go all over across up and down the Florida Peninsula. And I've gone to a lot of them. And they're in Central Florida, I go. And they're in Orlando, Sanford, I go. Maybe I'm going to start expanding out of Davenport if she's going to be part of the circuit. And maybe down to Melbourne. It's only about an hour, not even an hour away. I will probably see if I get tickets to that. If she's going to, they're teasing her being part of the NXT Live circuit, I won't mind going meet, because you get to get a personal up close with the performers. When they went in Orlando, saw Rich Holland. We saw Ivar, and we interacted very well. You get pictures, you get up close, you can even have a conversation with the performers. Carolina Cruz, the Emily, who got released from the Next Gem, got to see her before her first and only match with the WWE on the circuit with Lola Vice. Hell of a match. I didn't understand why they released her personally, but that's another question for another day, another podcast. I don't know why, because she had all her mannerisms. The match was fast paced. The timing was good. It wasn't in botchy. It was a good match, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why they released her. I don't know if it's tardiness. Hopefully it's not. I hope it's something that she could change. Where good thing that you saw Booker T immediately grabbed her to the reality, to wrestling reality down in Houston. Booker T, another one. I gotta give him his flowers. Hell of a wrestling school. His shows on Sunday nights is from Houston. A1 for an indie show, for actually a development under indie development, what do you want to call, for Booker T's reality of wrestling. Phenomenal. I'm very, very impressed with that. I had high regards for OVW. I would like to say this real quick. I wish I had the time, with not just with all the things I do. I would love to do OVW reviews personally, because I enjoy the product of OVW as well as reality of wrestling and of the TNA as well. But there's so much of me to go around to do with a 9 to 5 plus, all the different sports that we do here with this playoff season and the winter sports and so forth. But I would love to just deep dive and talk about those performers down there in Houston and in the Ohio Valley in OVW. I even got Coastal Championship Wrestling in my backyard. I haven't even gone to a show, so I'm not even. I mean, there's so much wrestling that I wish I could cover it. Myself, and just bring reviews and give enlightenment to all that, because we are blessed. Wrestling, again, they say it's cool again. We're blessed to have the wrestling performance and all the performers out there. So with that said, man, I want to thank everyone with that. And I want to leave this here with, just think about this with the different TNA WWE work relationship that they have. You have Marigold now, All Japan. Just think about if they do, and SummerSlam has been already announced for 2 nights already. Not this 2025, 2026. In Minnesota. Just think about the card that they'll have if they combine SummerSlam along with Slammiversary and 2-night event where you have a TNA NXT part of that SummerSlam on night number 1, and night number 2 your traditional WWE SummerSlam type of matches. Just think about that. Or this year, wouldn't be surprised at Madison Square Garden. I have no insights. I'm making a prediction. I had to specify that. This is not gospel. I haven't heard any. I'm just speculating. I think SummerSlam. I think Survivor Series this year is going to be in Madison Square Garden. That's just me. I have a fun, and I'm in Orlando, so I have no what do you call it, pony in the race. I think it's going to be in New York. I think it's time. I think they need to put a Survivor Series back in New York again. I think Survivor Series will be in New York personally, and wouldn't be surprised if this is a TNA Survivor Series War Games with NXT, and then you have Raw and SmackDown. Just think about that. With all those brands, you got three for sure. Just think if we're able to get a fourth brand in TNA participating in the War Games. You know, my goodness, you got Bloodline versus Bloodline. That's one. You know, TNA versus NXT. If you want to do that, or whatever's going on, WWE, TNA, whatever you want. Just think about all that possibility with those War Games matchups with all those talent there at Madison and the world's most famous arena. I'll leave you with that. Well, again, want you guys to give you thanks, follow, watch along. We have a watch along for a Friday night SmackDown. We ask you to invite you to come and watch along with us. Right in the chat. Put a comment below on this video or come say hello onto our watch along. We have myself, we have our tribal chief Terrence, we have the Michelin mega star chef Dan, we got the Gemma, who is a blessing to our channel, our first female heel in the ring, of course, heel in the ring crew member. We have Athletic Minds for Best for Business, and of course the ladies who have their own channels, but they come on our watch along and join part of the heel in the ring crew with Courtney. Hollywood Courtney and Courtney, aka Canary, and Miss Jazz Marie from Are You Seeing This Wrestling Podcast. Check their channel out. Their ladies do a phenomenal job with breaking things down. Of course, they talk about the last video was the kiss that wasn't seen on TV with Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. And definitely good. That's a good listen because you're gonna hear it from a perspective from a female point of view, and they break that down. I want to give them a plug there. And don't forget. Also, Cartel from the Midfit Nation, they break things down. They got their takes and their thoughts on Cody Rhodes' title reigns and their reviews of professional wrestling. Of course, Chris Deshawn, salute to you. And then, of course, the PUWF. We saw NXT time with D-Walk and Alex Coquito. So I wanted to shout out our friends on the wrestling community that we have here on the Heel of the Ring. We are a group. If you want to join our Heel of the Ring community, just reach out to me on Twitter X, man. Twitter X at BXJedi76, or you can email me at BXJedi76@gmail.com. If you want to be a panelist, you want to come down and break down, I didn't like your takes, I want to debate you, come on down, man. I'm always open to a nice little conversation, and of course, if you want to join us on the watch along, just hit me up. I like to send the invitation via email or direct message. Don't like to put it in the chat, and we want you to be part of our family, and let's grow this wrestling community of fans together, like the WWE say, with the slogan, then, now, forever, together. Let's do it together, because that's the only way we're gonna grow together, not divided. So I am BX Sports Jedi Kev. Of course, they nickname me the Don of the Watch Along, and we say thank you so much for tuning in, and may the sports be with you. We'll leave you with Lexus King to take us out.
Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you, because I am the hero the Sports Jedi deserves, but not the one in